Welcome to the ChronCast, a division of the Chronicle and IMI. We hope you'll enjoy today's podcast episode, and if you do, please be sure to leave a like and share it around. Also, be sure to follow us in our social medias, which will be linked in the description box below. Hey everyone, welcome back to the ChronCast. I'm your host, Aditya Thiyag, and today I'm joined by Chronicle staff member Bradyn Johnson. Bradyn, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm alright. Did you catch the Super Bowl this weekend?
Yeah, I did. It was pretty awesome.
Really? Well, for me, I'm not the biggest football fan, so for me, the definite highlight outside of just watching the crazy plays that were going on was definitely the halftime show, especially as a really big hip-hop fan. So I wanted to know, before we dived into general specifics, what did you think about the halftime show?
I loved it. The fact that it was all the throwback artists and stuff like that. My mom used to listen to them, my dad listened to them, and sometimes I hear them on the radio, and I really like listening to them, especially Mary J Blige. I really like her.
Yeah, so did you grow up on them?
I guess you could say that. They were always playing in the background. I always heard on the radio. I guess you could say I kind of grew up on them.
Gotcha. I didn't really, Mary J. Blige was definitely the person I was least familiar with, but I knew her through her, collaborations with Kid Cudi on, Man on the Moon 2 and stuff like that. But everyone else, I'm a huge fan of. I absolutely adore Snoop. Dre is my favorite producer of all time. Eminem is what got me into rap music, and then Kendrick. I own To Pimp a Butterfly on vinyl. So I'm massive fans of all of them, and I loved not only the California love that was going on, because it was all basically mostly West Coast artists, right? But also just the hip hop love, because I felt that was something that's really been missing recently. Yeah. Since, to me, right, hip hop, it's an undisputed fact that right now it's the biggest genre, and a Super Bowl with hip hop is super overdue.
Yeah, I think the response to the halftime show, everybody was they loved it, because they were able to not just see the current artists and stuff like that. They were able to see stuff that they grew up on. And I think that's also really important. It's kind of a little bit of a nostalgia, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I feel they did a really good job of capturing hip-hop through the decades, because what Dre did with NWA in the 80s, then we have Snoop's dominance in the 90s, 50 Cent and Eminem in the 2000s, Mary J. Blige as well, and then Kendrick continuing it on.
Oh my God, love Kendrick.
So is he your favorite?
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite rappers. Just being able to see him there, and almost the power that he brings through his voice is just so it almost gives me goosebumps sometimes, because it's just he's got so much power, and I just love his songs.
He has such an absolute stage presence.
Oh yeah, stage presence, definitely. Yeah, so I really like him.
So do you want to get into just the track list now, the set list, the songs that they perform?
Yeah, sure. I'm not really familiar with the exact
track titles?
Yeah.
That's cool. I think I remember for the most part. I know they opened it with the little CGI bit introducing Dr. Dre, and immediately you have him rising up at a little house set, and they played The Next Episode, which is obviously just an absolute classic song. I loved this is something I'll get into a little bit later, but just hearing Dre be the sort of curator or the conductor for this entire Super Bowl halftime show was definitely something that was much needed. Yeah. Because that's sort of the role that he's played even in his music, wouldn't you say? Yeah. So, even with, classic songs Forgot About Dre, Still D.R.E., even though he didn't have a large hand, he didn't write either of those songs, actually. It was Jay-Z that wrote Still Dre, and then Eminem wrote Forgot About Dre. But the reason it still feels like a Dre product is because he's curating it. He's the one rapping over it, and he's the one building the instrumentals. So I thought it was very fitting for him to be the sort of conductor. Immediately after that, we move into Snoop.
Oh, yeah.
Because Snoop is rapping his verse on the next episode. And I feel regardless of how old any of these people got, but Snoop, he still has that presence, don't you think?
Yeah, he does. I feel seeing him in a bunch of movies and commercials and stuff definitely has made me see a different side of him almost, I guess. You wouldn't see back when he was it was the 80s, 90s, stuff like that. So I think that plays a part in it.
Yeah, since he's gotten more experience working with other brands, he's developed like, he's arguably the biggest rapper of all time just by name recognition. And that brand, like the Snoop Dogg brand, him collaborating is definitely a big part of it.
And it's just, I just find it interesting how, like, now it's, like, just not rap for him, because he even has, like, a Netflix show that I watched. It was, like, football, and he coaches a football team in, like, LA.
Gotcha.
And so it's just, like, not just, like, music for him, which I find pretty interesting, because that used to be, I mean, like, his life.
Yeah.
So.
And now he's out here doing a bunch of other things. But even though he's out here doing a bunch of other things, he was able to kill it. He was crip walking.
Yeah, I asked my dad, I'm like, is he crip walking? And he's like, yeah.
Snoop, he was dressed in like a bandana fit.
And I was like, is he like, I was like, what is happening? Because he's like, how old is he?
Snoop is like almost 60.
Yeah. Like, I was talking to, like, my dad, because, like, he's really familiar with all those rappers, and I was asking him how old probably Tupac would have been if he didn't, like, get shot. And maybe I should say that.
I mean,
we're not, like, necessarily,
I mean, yeah.
But, like, if he didn't, like, you know, die, he would have almost been I think he would have been, like, 52 now, probably, which I find, like, sometimes I'm always like, what if these rappers or, like, artists were still alive, like Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston, like, what would they be doing?
Yeah.
Like Biggie, like, a bunch of those artists I feel like could have been so influential to, like, society. Like, I mean, they were able to, like, I feel like Tupac, though a lot of his songs were, like, very, like, vulgar, like, he had some, like, ideas behind certain things that, like, a normal rap artist now wouldn't even think about writing about, like, especially with, like, just some, like, other rap songs, like, currently, like, I guess, like, I'll pick a random rapper like NBA YoungBoy. I just don't feel like they have, like, the same vision as they did back in the 90s.
Yeah, that's definitely, for me, the reason that I personally prefer the state of modern music is I feel like there's a lot more variety that there is now.
Yeah.
Now than there was before, but that definitely doesn't take away from the creative vision that they had. And I'm so glad that you brought up Tupac, because I loved how immediately after Still Dre, like, the next song that they played was California Love, which is obviously fitting because considering it took place in LA. Yeah. But this is like the West Coast like anthem, basically, right?
It is, yeah.
And it was a really good way to show to pay homage to, like, a hip hop idol.
Yeah.
Like, arguably, like, the word I would use to describe it, and I know other people have described him as, like, really influential, and I would agree, but for me, it's more like he was really inspiring as a figure. Yeah. Because you're all right. He really just, he lived that life, and he inspired others to live theirs to the fullest extent. Yeah. So immediately after California Love, which I loved how the outfits of the background dancers and even the set, like, changed along with depending upon what song they were playing.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say, like, maybe we could talk about this, like, once the bell rings, but, like, how I was seeing a bunch of stuff on social media of these guys, like, dyeing their hair blonde, and they were able to, like, put it on social media now that the Super Bowl's over. But, like, that is, like, to me, that's so cool how, like, they all were, like, the same yet so different. And, like, I really enjoyed it, like, especially with, like, Kendrick's, like, couple songs that he did have. They cut him too short. Like, it was so good. I was, like, on my couch, like, I was up dancing. And then, like, I forget who was next.
It was Eminem.
Eminem, yeah.
It was Eminem after Kendrick.
Yeah, I mean, Eminem, like, he's really good, but I was like, they cut him too short. I was so sad. Because I love Kendrick Lamar.
I adore him. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, because right before Kendrick and Mary J. Blige, we had a surprise appearance, which my friend was he was, like, joking about. He's like, oh my god, 50 Cent's gonna be there. I'm like, no, he's not. And then you see 50 Cent dangling from the ceiling. I was like, what in the dangling from the ceiling like he did in the In Da Club music video. Yeah. And I was just like, man, I know 50 Cent is, like he's obviously a New York native, right? Like, that's what he's repping. But, like, to me, just his introduction to hip-hop is really, like, credited to, like, Dre and Eminem, especially Dre, like, executively producing his album and Dre producing In Da Club. So, like, it makes sense for him to be up on that stage with not only like his peers but his friends, his lifelong friends.
Yeah, he was so like influential to like the whole like rap like genre, I guess you could say, and like I just feel like he deserved to be up there.
I don't know if you know this actually. In 2003, right, when 50 Cent got geared up to drop Get Rich or Die Trying, his 2003 debut album. Before that, he was dropping mixtapes like constantly, and it was actually him that popularized like mixtapes in the Lil Wayne, like, which would lead to like the Lil Wayne era, the Drake era, like that's a lot of people used mixtapes after that to get popular, is what I'm trying to say. But when 50 was dropping these mixtapes, his popularity obviously shot through the roof. So much so that Jay-Z actually warned Rockefeller Records, all the label mates, to drop music as soon as possible before 50 Cent drops, because he knew the domination that 50 would have over like that year. Yeah. And eventually it led to, I mean, he's extremely successful, and similar to what you said about Snoop, like he has Power, his own TV show, and he's doing so many other business ventures.
Yeah. That's what I think is like kind of like important. I feel like a lot of these like older rap artists it's not just like rap anymore. It's movies, it's commercials, it's TV shows. Like I just saw like I know 50 Cent has some TV shows. I know Power. And then he was in this movie with like a cop. I forget exactly what the movie's called.
Gotcha.
But it's just like it's not just rap anymore. Like I also see that with athletes too, because I mean you see that with like Shaq was at the Super Bowl and he does movies, commercials, all that stuff. So it's like for people who I feel like celebrities who are kind of not washed up or like washed out, but like they're older, I feel like it just doesn't revolve around one specific thing. And what got them to be so successful.
But I'm glad they were still given this opportunity, even though they've moved on to bigger things, to come back and show the world why they still earned their name. Yeah. Because 50 Cent, like, this dude is old, right? But he still put on a great show. He still had a really fun time performing that song. Yeah. And I know you're the one you're really familiar with is also Mary J. Blige, so I definitely want to defer to you on this, because I had definitely heard of Family Affairs, but I wasn't super familiar with the rest of her catalog, unfortunately. Yeah. So I want to know what your thoughts and opinions were when she like entered the stage, like what her performance was.
So I was really happy. I was actually hoping, I think the song is called Real Love, I believe, but I was really hoping she would have sung that song, because it's one of my favorites. But when I first saw her, I was like, thank the good Lords, because like I was so happy, because like being able to hear somebody and see somebody that you see on the radio constantly and you hear them sing, like I'd never been able to personally like see her like in concert and stuff like that. So being able to see her actually perform and like see her stage presence, and her outfit was beautiful, and like just her stage presence and like just like the dancing and then her like little fall at the end. I was like,
her style.
Yes, man. It's just like the way these artists, just their stage presence, and I feel like it's just so like I don't have the words to explain it. It's just like I just thought it was awesome. I was so happy.
Yeah, because a lot of the things that I feel like something that people neglect is they automatically assume because an artist has a lot of hits, they should be performing at the Super Bowl. But a large part of it isn't just you have hit songs. You need to be able to put on a show. Yeah. Right. And I think every single artist on that stage are wonderful performers, fantastic performers. And even though I wasn't super familiar with Mary J. Blige, her vocal performance on No More Drama was insane. Like the notes she was able to hit was so crazy. And I'm glad that even though it was obviously like hip hop like dominated, there was still a touch of R&B, which is also very integral to like West Coast.
Yeah, I actually more so grew up on R&B than I did like rap and hip hop music. It was definitely like a staple in my family, and like my grandparents would listen to it. My mom and my dad would listen to a lot of R&B. I still to this day listen to like a lot of R&B. I listen to like groups like TLC, like all of those older artists and groups, and like Destiny's Child, and so like all those artists, those R&B artists, I kind of grew up on, and I just thought it was really like cool to see them like live. Then even with like Eminem, like I'm not super familiar with him either. Like I've heard of him, of course. I've like listened to like maybe some of his songs, his most popular ones, but it's definitely not something that. So I mean, it's definitely not someone that like I more so grew up on, so I wasn't super familiar with him.
Gotcha. But right before Eminem, I know it's someone you're also a really big fan of, and I am too.
Yeah.
And that's Kendrick.
Oh yeah.
Just really quickly, what was it like being able to see Kendrick after his like, what? It's been now 5 years since Damn. So.
Yeah.
And 4 years since Black Panther. So what was it like being able to see him?
Like, I just get so excited just, like, talking about it. Because it was so, like, groundbreaking. Like, his performance, his stage presence, and, like, the
artistic vision.
Yes, and then the dancers, how they all had blonde hair. And, like, it was so good. His stage presence and like just the lyrics and the flow that he has, it's just like, it's almost like you're dreaming. And even like with Black Panther, like it was probably one of the best movie soundtracks I've probably ever heard, like in my entire life. A lot of those songs I still listen to now, and usually I don't listen to a lot of movie soundtracks.
But TDE killed it front to back.
Oh my gosh, like him and it was SZA, right?
All the stars,
yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah, he's just really good.
My favorite one, I know this is a little off topic, but on Black Panther, my favorite is probably The Ways with Sway Lee and isn't it Khalid?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, all his music is great, and I kind of like more so grew up on Kendrick too, because it always came on the radio. Like a bunch of these artists always came up on the radio, so yeah.
So for me, I know it was in the trailer and everything, and there was like sort of a running joke, especially people believe that like. Obviously, Kendrick's an insane, like, and critically acclaimed individual, and no one's ever doubted that. But there was a doubt and fear among people that he would only be performing Humble because that's his, like, big mainstream hit. But I loved how he opened it with Mad City.
Yeah.
Like, that was so amazing. And just, I think, purely... So this Kendrick segment was my favorite because I think he put on the best show. But, like, the way he had... Everyone, like you said, like with the blonde cut, that was very reminiscent of the Humble music video, except like they were all, I think, bald in that one.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, after they are all, like, rapping in, like, the sort of huddled area in Mad City, they all start walking around, like, this little square area. And when the camera pans, or when the camera is, like, from the sky, like looking down, you can see that they're actually walking around a city of like a map of LA.
Yeah.
And I think specifically Compton. I could be wrong on that part, but it is where Kendrick grew up, so I wouldn't put it past him for the backup dancers to be dancing around Compton. All the while he's performing All Right, which is like one of his most powerful songs.
It definitely is. And I just like even a lot of the, like you said, a lot of the performers put on a really great show, but I feel like Kendrick used his time, even like the little time he did have, like perfectly. Because the fact that like he was almost able to like put a concert into his like little segment almost. It was so like, I can't even explain it. It was perfect.
Yeah, to me it was almost like he was making a little short film within it, because he had the introduction, which is like one of his biggest like beginning hits out of something like Rigor Mortis and Poetic Justice. It was like Mad City.
Yeah.
And then right after that it transitions into All Right, like a single that, or a hit, I'm not sure if it was a single, but a hit that defined his career. And it talks, and the music is obviously, the lyrics are obviously very personal to him, but also to his community. And as he's performing that, he has like a visual of his community. And I love the transition he did where he sort of like on the spot was like 35 summers in the making, like, and they forgot about Dre, and then it transitions into forgot about Dre. Yeah. And true to Eminem fashion, he rises out of like a little stage, and it goes into Lose Yourself. And for me, like, I mean, I grew up on Eminem, so I had a massive, like, I was so happy, like, seeing him. But the biggest surprise for me, like, when watching that, was seeing Anderson .Paak on the drums.
I was like, is that the guy who does with, like, Bruno Mars? I was like, yeah, Silk Sonic. I was like, And I had to ask my mom. I was like, "Is that him?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, it was very surprising. I was super surprised.
And he was so happy to be there.
I
you
know,
could tell.
yeah. I would have been happy. I would have been, if I was there, I would have been screaming.
Dude, I was screaming. My
Same.
mom was looking at me weird.
I would have been screaming. I saw like all of the, like LeBron James. He was like rapping to Eminem. And I was like, yeah, I would have literally died.
Yeah, and like the cool thing to me is, right, I'm glad they put Anderson .Paak up there because he's also from the West Coast, and literally, like, his album names from 2016, 2018, and then 2019 are Malibu, Ventura, or Oxnard, and Ventura. And all three of those are different places in California, different beaches in California. So, like, to have someone who equally wants to contribute back to, like, not only hip-hop culture, but, like, West Coast culture, to have him there to bring that hip-hop, to bring more R&B, and in a more recent time, like, I just loved what they did in terms of the representation here.
Yeah, it was a definite, I loved it. I just feel like they were able to include R&B, the older hip-hop, like, now, like, rap, and, like, all, it was a perfect representation of different genres of music, and I just thought they did a really good job. So,
and especially including, like, the first hip-hop song to ever win an Oscar, Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that was, like, I don't think, it's not my favorite Eminem song, but I personally don't think there could have been a better one that he could have performed, because it's been so integral to his career, and it's just such an iconic song that, like, that's what the Super Bowl stage was made for, in my opinion.
Exactly. And I feel like they don't want a song that nobody knows. So they're not going to put on, like, their, like, least streamed.
He's not going to put on, like, Same Song and Dance or something. Yeah.
So, like, I feel like definitely they would have played their most popular and most, like, you know, like, best songs.
But I'm glad they played songs that not only were popular, but, like, songs that still felt like them. Because Kendrick, like I said before, excuse me, very easily could have performed Humble.
Yeah.
But he performed all right, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Eminem's performance, especially with Anderson .Paak on the drums, was fantastic. And as it closes out, again, more Tupac love, because I don't know if you know, the tune that Dr. Dre was playing on the piano before he transitions into Steel Dirty is I Ain't Mad at You by Tupac.
I love that song.
And I loved, again, just paying respects to a West Coast, not even a West Coast, a music legend.
Yeah.
I'd go as far to say. So that was very much needed. Not only was, like, the NFL, like, paying homage by recruiting these artists, but it was also these artists themselves. They, like, you can tell that this is more than just a job for them. This is a labor of love. And finally, like, they close it out with Dre's most iconic song, probably. His most iconic beat, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's Still DRE. And just hearing, like, seeing everybody on stage at that time doing, like, the still ad-libs was so perfect.
I know. And I just thought, what I noticed was a lot of the artists, like, there would be specifically, like, one artist singing, and a lot of the other artists who were, like, kind of on stage were, like, lip singing, like, the lyrics. And I just thought that was cool how, like, it's almost like they're basically all connected.
They're all fans of each other.
Yeah.
And I thought the most surreal moment for me was when, like, in the background while Dre's performing, you could see, like, Kendrick and 50 Cent dapping each other up. That just made me so happy.
I know, it's like when worlds collide.
Yeah. And, like, you can tell, just being able to see Eminem, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, Dr. Dre, Anderson .Paak, Mary J. Blige, and Snoop Dogg all share a stage.
Yeah. Oh, man. And that last when they're all kind of, like, standing and, like, they're all, like, yeah, we just did that.
Yeah, we just did. Yeah.
Like, they left no crumbs.
No, and I think that is, I took a screenshot of it. Like, there's an image of, like, all of them on the stage at the end. That is one of the coldest images of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I found it funny because later, after the halftime show, I'd realized that Evan McPherson, the kicker on the Bengals, didn't even go in at halftime. He was actually watching the halftime show and singing and dancing to all the songs, which I found pretty funny.
I mean, man, that's what I would do.
Yeah, same.
Like, honestly.
When all you gotta do is kick field goals, why not the game plan? So, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and, like, obviously, McPherson and the Bengals, even though we lost, they still killed it. We're still really proud of them.
Yeah.
Like, repping repping Cincinnati.
I know, just for like even being able to like, even just getting there, I feel like puts Cincinnati out there because I feel like we don't really get that much recognition.
Yeah, and the coolest thing for me was just seeing how united everyone was over the weekend. Like, I was going to like shops and everything, and there were so many like "Who Dey" signs and like "Bengals, go Bengals, we're here for you," and like the unity is very much needed right now.
Yeah, it is.
And I know that was more talking about the game, but like connecting it back to more the halftime show, just being able to see all those hip hop artists, like some of whom had even like maybe had beef with each other, like just seeing all those hip hop and R&B artists on stage together, and just that was an important night, not only for hip hop music, but for just music, in my opinion.
Every single time, like, I even want to go back and watch. If I were to go back and watch it now, I think I still would probably get goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
It was just that amazing, and I just feel like just being able to see everybody that you grew up with, and I feel like that's what hit a lot of, like, its target audience was there. Like, kind of the millennial, I think...
Gen X,
yeah. That's basically the target audience, and I feel like it definitely hit why it got such positive reviews is because it hit its target audience.
And I feel like even though like it wasn't specifically geared towards Gen Z, we still got artists like Anderson .Paak and Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need to be a part of any generation just to appreciate good music and good performances.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, same.
I really enjoyed this year's halftime show.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I think so. With the other ones, I know there was like. Was it Beyonce and like Katy Perry? And then
there was a Katy Perry solo one, a Lady Gaga solo one, Coldplay headlining with Bruno Mars and Beyonce there. Shakira and J-Lo were there. That was fantastic. The Weeknd did his all by himself, which I adored.
Oh, he did?
The Weeknd was last year.
It was. Oh, I remember.
Yeah, he adored.
Didn't he like do something like with it, like his face or something, or like was that
yeah.
That's what. And then I remember Maroon 5 did.
That was awful.
Yeah.
But
I was like, can we just
can we fast
continue
forward?
The game?
It's okay because I'm glad we can leave that behind because this one was fantastic.
It topped it. Then I remember like a long time back when Beyonce did hers. I remember when the power went out or something.
Oh yeah.
And that was funny. But yeah, I really like this one.
Me too. Well, that's all the time we have for you guys today on this episode of the ChronCast. We really hope you enjoyed. Bradyn, it was great having you. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah, of course. We had a great time. All right, that's all the time we have, like I said before, but our Instagrams and all of our social medias in general will be linked in the description box below. We hope you guys had a great time watching the halftime show because me and Bradyn definitely did. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. This is Aditya Thiyag signing off. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the ChronCast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to be notified when our next episode goes live, please be sure to follow us on all of our social medias as well as hitting the subscribe button. In addition, if you want to check out our other podcast, The Interview by Alex Daracel, a link will be provided in the description box below. We hope you'll choose to join us again on the next episode.